2-1 is between the tip of the coccyx and the anus.
Do2 is located on the posterior midline in the sacral coccygeal hiatus. To find this point, palpate down the sacrum, feeling for the cleft in between the sacrum and the coccyx. In this case, it's quite high. In some cases, you'll find this cleft will actually be inside the gluteal fold.
Do4 is on the posterior midline, below the spinous process of L2. Do6 is on the posterior midline, below the spinous process of T11. Bladder 27 is level with the first sacral foramen, 1.5 cm lateral to the posterior midline. Bladder 35 is 0.5 cm lateral to Do2. Bladder 54 is on the buttock, 3 cm lateral to the sacral hiatus. Typically, if you put your hands on the sides of the buttock, it is midway between the sides and the gluteal fold at the midline.
Do20 is located in relation to the midpoint between the glabella and the occiput. Place the heel of your palm on the glabella and the occiput. Fold your fingers around the skull to find the midpoint. Do20 is located 1 cm posterior to that midpoint. It typically lies in a nice dip. There are several other nice dips slightly further back, which are other do points, so don't be tempted to go further back than 1 cm posterior to that midpoint. Spleen 5 is located in a depression which is anterior and inferior to the medial malleolus. Trace along the anterior border of the malleolus and the inferior border, and then palpate whilst you articulate the foot. Feel for a nice dip. Spleen 5 is in that dip. Spleen 6 is located 3 cm superior to the medial malleolus, half a finger breadth posterior to the medial crest of the tibia. Be sure not to place this point actually on the bone. Kidney 7 is located 2 cm directly superior to kidney 3. Locate your kidney 3, move up by 2 cm and mark this point directly on the anterior border of the tendocalcaneus. Bladder 36 is located on the posterior median line of the leg in the transverse gluteal fold. Find bladder 40, travel up the posterior median line of the leg and find a depression in between the two hamstring muscles in the transverse gluteal fold. Bladder 40 is located at the midpoint of the popliteal crease, in between the tendons biceps femoris and semitendinosus. To bring these tendons into relief, get the person to take the weight of their own leg. It then becomes quite easy to feel these two tendons. It's also easier to see where the popliteal crease lies. When they lower the leg, make sure you mark this point directly in the centre of the popliteal crease. Bladder 56 is located on the posterior midline of the lower leg, 5 cm inferior to bladder 40 in the palpable cleft between the two heads of the gastrocnemius muscle. Bladder 58 is 7 cm directly superior to bladder 60. It's often described as being 1 cm inferior and lateral to bladder 57, but that's not always the case. Bladder 60 is located directly posterior to the prominence of the lateral malleolus. It lies in the deepest dip between the posterior border of the malleolus and the anterior border of the tendocalcaneus.